Hey, this is Stickman. I'm calling in from my hometown down in Manitou Springs. We're watching Colorado Springs burn right now, and we recorded this show a week ago. I hope you all enjoy. We've got a great lineup of guests. We've got a guest from Amsterdam coming up, so make sure you stay tuned. Make sure, you keep everyone in your thoughts and prayers, and a big shout-out to all the firefighters out there, police, EMTs doing their job, protecting our homes, protecting us. Organizations such as the Red Cross, Salvation Army, Care and Share. And, just keep everyone in your thoughts. Tune in next week. We'll be back live. My co-host is without a house right now, and I'm on the verge. So we're just keeping an eye on things, and we'll be back with you soon. We love y'all. Peace.
Welcome to Overgrow the Radio. I'm your host, Stickman. I'm here, I'm not completely alone. I've got a guest and a producer, but my two lovely, talented, beautiful co-hosts are nowhere to be seen. It's a holiday week here in Denver, well, really everywhere in the U.S., and we're all going to be out of here. I'm going to pick up my little one, and we're going to start our summer. So we're going to jump right in tonight. We're going to postpone news this week because, there's always stuff going on, but without Elisa here to tell me I'm an idiot. When you don't have your news lady, it's all over. So our first guest tonight is David Madalena.
Madalena, yeah.
It's Madalena. Almost said it right. He is the co-founder and director of operations at the Hemp Connoisseur, which is actually right upstairs. Our neighbors. As we've talked about before, we kind of have a little cannabis fortress here.
Yes, we do.
It's a great environment. I mean, you've got a dispensary 50 foot away. You need some meds, magazines upstairs, organizations to protect you. So
And the lab facility, too.
Mr. Edson,
Yep.
the other side of the wall. Yeah, the lab.
Yep.
Test your meds that you buy at the dispensary. So the Hemp Connoisseur is a publication that's been around for a little while. We're going to jump into it. We're going to let you kind of jump in and I guess tell us, how long you've been around and the idea behind the Hemp Connoisseur.
Okay, right on. Well, thank you very much for having me on today.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. So to answer your question, the Hemp Connoisseur, we're actually hitting basically our year anniversary from the conception of the magazine itself. The first issue did come out in November, actually beginning of December, end of November, and then our spring issue came out in March, and then our summer issue is coming out this week actually. So we're very excited about that. But it's been a year since the conception of the magazine. We kind of looked at all the other magazines out there and said, I think we can do something different. Everybody else seemed to be still focused on cannabis as a counterculture. And I think that's great. That's been going on for years now.
Sure.
And it has been in the counterculture. But
Sure.
the way we looked at it at the Hemp Connoisseur was, it was time to start moving this industry and the concept of cannabis and industrial hemp into the mainstream of society. And so the design of the Hemp Connoisseur is very much
like where it was for most of our history.
Exactly. Let's move it back to our roots,
Sure,
which is funny
sure.
to think that a lot of people don't realize that that is our roots. It was in the mainstream.
Yeah, I like to throw the fact out a lot that until the 30s, 85% of everything in our country was made from hemp.
Yeah, it was.
That's a fact.
It is. It's absolutely a fact.
Sorry, continue.
Oh, no, it's okay. So that was the idea. A lot of the other magazines seem to utilize methods to advertise and sell medicine that we felt was counterproductive. The idea to utilize, gratuitous sex to sell medicine seemed, again, counterproductive. We looked at the demographic, basically,
Sure.
and the average patient's age in Colorado is 41.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the entire female market that we felt was being pretty much ignored by the way cannabis was being represented.
Or some of them may feel demeaned.
Or demeaned.
By
exactly.
that, yeah.
Women are objectified all of the time.
I have another half who was an organizer at the War on Women march up here, and she's probably not one of those people who would read those other publications.
And that was the idea. We wanted to create a magazine, the way we always talked about it, we wanted it to be a coffee table magazine that
Sure.
A parent or any patient obviously would feel comfortable having on their coffee table for any of their guests to see, and maybe help educate people. And we felt like by creating the representation that we did, we were able to reach non-patients who were interested in cannabis. And we've gotten that comment many times. We've had calls, wow, thank you so much for educating on us on this. You created a magazine that was presentable for me to feel comfortable picking up, and I've been reading through it, and it's really opened my eyes. So we know we're reaching the people we want to reach.
Well, and I've talked to you guys off the air, that I'm impressed by it. It's a professional side that's really it's been there in some aspects, but it hasn't. If you are in a dentist office and you look down and see the hemp connoisseur, it sort of puts off that gentleman's vibe, if you will, like a GQ or something. Which, that's needed. I mean, there is that market that we're not reaching. That's a big thing in what I do on 2 points. My original organization, Overgrow the Government, we go to D.C. and we try to be professional, number one, and we do try to reach the other demographics, not just one. I pride myself, I like to convert conservatives. I've got quite a few under my belt that are now friends of mine and support cannabis. So it's definitely a battle, to reach out, and I think you guys have found a niche where you will be very useful to the industry and to yourself. I mean,
well, thank you. I think that's the important thing, is to get into the listening of the audience you're trying to reach, and how is the way that they want to be communicated to.
Absolutely.
And that's the idea. We want conservatives just as much as liberals to pick up our magazine. And as you probably already know, the more you educate somebody on this subject, it's not hard to sway their opinion, because we have facts and history to back us up.
Well, let's jump into that a little bit. You and I can sit here, as I told you earlier, I'm a patient, but hemp is my cause. It always has been since I was a teenager. It's real easy to pick up, Jack Herer's book or any book about hemp and say, wow, why wasn't I taught about this? Why didn't I know that the Declaration of Independence was written on hemp, So I guess in your mind, what is, you obviously devote a magazine. It's not entirely to hemp, but, that's in the name, obviously.
Right, it is.
What was, in your mind, the importance of preaching the good word of hemp, if you will?
Well, we actually created a duality in the magazine, and you can see it in the logo of our cover. It says THC, the hemp connoisseur.
Sure.
There is a duality there. We do focus 50% of our content on medical cannabis as a viable medicine and educating patients on usage of it. And then the other 50%, of course, we focus on industrial hemp. We took this approach because we felt like we had a great base of patients that were going to be reading our magazine that may not have been educated on hemp.
Sure.
People still think that hemp is the same thing as medical cannabis.
Isn't that ironic?
It's very ironic. And so we wanted to utilize this forum to educate people on it. Hemp, as we've talked to before offline, I mean, cannabis has shown to save a lot of people's lives and improve the quality of life for so many people across the country. Hemp is something that can change our country's economy.
Absolutely.
And I think that, yes, we can make the same exact argument if we legalize medical cannabis. It absolutely will change our economy. And this issue of our magazine, we call our quote-unquote hemponomics issue, because we are focusing on what would our economy look like if we legalized hemp and we legalized medical cannabis, and we focus on 2 main article features on that. When we talk about hemp, though, it's one of those plants that there's no boundary to what it can do that we've seen up to this point. Everybody thinks about paper. Absolutely. Better paper quality than wood pulp. 4 acres of hemp is equivalent to 1 acre of forest. So we have that part for us. And, of course, everyone thinks of rope. Those are some of the given ones that have been used all throughout history.
Sure.
The ones that I think really stand out for me is, 50% of our crude oil, just about 50%, is utilized to make plastics.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that. They think it all goes to gasoline. Well, hemp seed oil can be turned into plastic. Every single thing that you see that's made out of plastic right now is coming from oil. It's coming from the Middle East. Well, if we want to get rid of our Middle East crisis and deal with our oil situation, one step is to start mass growing hemp and turning that into our plastics. Then we, of course, have hemp as a biodiesel. It's a cleaner burning biodiesel than corn. It grows better. It doesn't need pesticides. So why are we subsidizing a inferior product like corn for all the usages that we have when we could take a much more superior product like hemp and do the exact same thing but better?
Absolutely.
And then there's fiber. I'm wearing a hemp t-shirt right now. Hemp as a fiber is stronger than cotton. It's antimicrobial, so it breathes for you. It doesn't shrink or fade like cotton does. And again, no pesticides needed. Whereas in the cotton industry, you have a lot of cotton. A lot of cotton is grown with multiple pesticides and has a lot of dangers to our environment. So those are just a few of the. Really, there's thousands and thousands. One of the quotes I've heard is well over 25,000 uses of hemp, and we're not even touching any of those.
The what I always go by is, and can't quote it from where I read it. It's been years ago. 30,000 uses for the fiber, and another 5,000 for the cellulose.
Yeah.
And there's new uses every day, so I'm sure that's grown.
It's one of the things I didn't mention. It's a superfood.
Absolutely.
It's
the only seed in nature that you can sustain from alone. That and water, and you're good.
Yeah.
I will digress a little and expand on what you said and say that, we're at a time in our history, obviously our economy is worse than it's been in some time, and it's not really, I see a lot of misleading stats out there about job growth. Well, yeah, if you count McDonald's and Walmart, we've had job growth.
Right.
We have to refocus our economy, and I was part of Occupy. I got pretty involved in that down in South in the Springs. And I preach this daily that, part of that, I think, if we focused away from military, away from the prisons, the prison industrial complex, if you will, and we're to refocus that on human rights. And if we refocused the rest of our economy on hemp, we would be a thriving nation again.
Oh, absolutely.
There is no question. Hemp biofuel alone could be huge. We could be exporting hemp biofuel like the Middle East is exporting oil.
Yeah.
There is a gold mine waiting to be made right there in tax money, entrepreneurs, millions of jobs almost overnight.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous. I think the stat that we have in this issue of the magazine is if we just did 5% of the farmable land in Colorado and mass grew hemp for its multiple uses, we're looking at around $107 million in gross revenue for the state just by doing that.
Sure.
That's a ridiculous number.
And we just have, a few weeks ago, just obtained the right to, sort of the right to do so. It's a stepping stone.
It's a stepping stone. It's a great stepping stone. 1099 that Jason Love put together was awesome. It is to test how good the hemp can take radiation out of the soil.
Big scary word, phytoremediation.
Phytoremediation, exactly.
Yeah, it's we're testing it here, of course, because that's what we do. We test things thousands of times before we okay them. But if doing research and talking to Jason and working with him, he has told me that they've been using it across the world. India's been using it. Russia actually used it at Chernobyl. So there is data out there that shows that it has that capability.
Well, and that's something that a lot of people don't realize. They do see, you can see plenty of hemp products in the United States. But what a lot of people don't realize is that all of that hemp is imported from Canada, from China, from the Netherlands. I think it's 5 of the top 10 economies in the world all grow hemp.
Sure.
And there's a reason for it.
Absolutely. Well, where can folks find your magazine? We're going to have you back on because I know we're running short. We're going to talk to you in the break here and see if we can maybe keep you for a minute or two.
I think we might be able to do that.
Right on. Well, real quick, though, before we go to break, if people want to pick up the Hemp Connoisseur, where would they do that?
Well, we are doing distribution over the next 2 weeks. We're hitting every dispensary in Colorado. I'd like to say everyone in Colorado. We're definitely everyone from Boulder almost up to Fort Collins. They're not there yet. And then Denver, and then all the way down to Colorado Springs. We're also in well over 200 7-Elevens along the entire I-25 corridor. That's
great.
Yeah, we're actually the only free cannabis publication that are distributed in 7-Elevens at this time. So that's a great place to find us. And then a lot of our doctors' offices that are, giving out their prescriptions for red cards are handing our magazine out as a guidebook. guidebook, because the design of it is to be a guidebook for patients to find the dispensary that is right for what their needs are.
Absolutely. That's very important.
Yeah.
I moved to Colorado for that. So we're going to pay some bills real quick, as we like to do here, because our sponsors like that. So we'll talk to you soon. We'll be right back here on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is J-Dub.
And this is Dust with the Weed Pimp. We're up here at iCannabis Radio coming at you to let you know that Weed Pimp Screen Printing is ready for your full screen printing needs. And we are located at 62A Mount View Lane. Make sure while you're there, you check out our brand new oil rigs, the Green Monster Oil Rigs by Dragon Dave.
While you're out in town, pay attention for the WP1 advertising trailer. Please get on board with that and get your message across to the public.
That's 8 foot tall by 16 foot long trailer pulled all around Colorado Springs, the first of its kind, so make sure you jump on that.
And more importantly, on this trailer will be the ability for you to register to vote. That's important this year.
If you're interested in any advertising on the trailer or any custom screen printing, please get a hold of Dustin at 719-684-5793
and J-Dub at 913-484-4550.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
My producer threw me off. I was about to start singing, but we'll spare everyone. Welcome back to Overgrow the Radio. We're still here, joined by David from the Hemp Connoisseur. We're going to kind of jump in. I know you guys have a super exciting month this month.
Oh, yeah, we do.
You were telling me about all kinds of stuff that's going on.
Well, yeah, this is kind of the month where a lot of things are coming to fruition that we've been working on for the past year. Obviously, the magazine was the first step in how to reach people, but we're trying to create awareness through hemp, through what we're calling our hemp-certified clothing line. So we're going to be starting to sell T-shirts that have our hemp-certified logo on it,
nice.
And help get people the word out about hemp clothing, first of all. So it's just
Sure.
creating more awareness. That's really the design of the clothing line. So we're very excited about that, and you can see that an advertisement for that in our issue that's coming out. The other thing that we have going on is our website is now officially going live. You can reach us at thcmag.com. And so we're very excited about that because while we're a quarterly magazine, there's always a lot to say within that whole 3 months that we can't put in the magazine. And so we're planning on having a lot more up-to-date news and blogging and more information on a daily basis being presented to people through the website. And, of course, they can read all of our archived magazines online as well. So
nice.
We're very excited about that. The really exciting thing that's going on, and this was really through a request from the industry to us, is we are throwing the Hemp Connoisseur Cannabis Championship. The
Awesome.
announcement is official this issue, so definitely check it out for that too. What we're doing differently in the way we're presenting this cannabis championship than other cannabis competitions before is we are taking a lot of the weight of the votes from the patients.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at plenty of patients. Please submit and become judges for us, and they'll be able to vote for us. And then, of course, they get VIP status, tons of goodies for filling in all their little perks.
Yeah.
The VIP status will be at our event where we're going to be making the award ceremony announcements. That's going to be held at Castleman's Barn venue on October 5th. So we are already looking at submissions for judges. We're looking at submissions for entries from dispensaries and edible companies. And we're very excited about it because we think that we have structured a competition or a tasting, I should say, that has a lot of integrity, that I don't think anybody will have any question as to when somebody wins that they deserved to win it, which
Sure.
allows, of course, a little bit more bragging rights for the companies that won.
Absolutely.
The big thing for us, though, is to give the patients a voice as to what they think the best medicine is. I mean, that said,
Mm-hmm.
we're also going to have connoisseurs who are in the industry who will get to vote. And then, obviously, we're going to have a purely scientific testing through CanLabs, who's put together a great formulation of how to rate different strains and edibles for us.
Great people.
They're great people. I mean, they're neighbors of ours as well, of course.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's really important to us is they're testing every medication before it goes out to the judges to make sure it's safe.
Sure.
So there's not going to be any mites, powdery mildew,
Sure.
any pesticides still present in the medication itself. So that's really important to us, that if we're asking people to judge medicine, that they're getting safe medicine first.
Sure, because you don't know. I mean, it's kind of an open entry situation, so you don't really know. There are businesses in every industry that are good and bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So that's a great plus.
Yeah, and we wanted this to be a chance for some of the smaller mom and pops dispensaries to have a chance to compete against some of the big guys as well.
Well, I know it's not really they've been called the harbor side of the Springs, but my co-host, I think she may be interested.
Oh, yeah.
They won the Field of Dreams 420 Fest there in the Springs.
Yeah.
They won Best Hash in a couple categories, I think. So
Very
they've
cool.
probably got some things to submit.
Oh,
so
absolutely. We're welcoming
put you
all
in touch.
entries.
Yeah,
we,
absolutely.
Like I said, once some of the owners of the companies hear about how we're putting this together, and they can contact us anytime at info@tcmag.com to inquire about it. Every time I've talked to any center owners or edible companies about how we're doing it, they said, wow, I can't find any complaint about the way you're putting this together. We really do feel like this is how it should have been done in the first place from every other competition.
Sure.
So we're pretty proud about what we've put together. We've been working on it for the past 2 months now to make sure that we felt like it was lock hard, no loopholes, no way anybody could cheat or manufacture any different results.
Sure.
And so we're ready to make the announcement. So this is one of the first places that people are hearing about it right now.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I hear a rumor I may be able to help you guys out as a connoisseur.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I promise to be impartial.
Well, that would be good.
And fair.
Good.
One hand in hand.
I think we'd be happy to have you up as a connoisseur judge. Absolutely.
Nice, very good. I'd be happy to do it. I've sat in many courtrooms, so I've learned how to not they're supposed to be the ones that are fair and impartial. They're not.
They're not.
So I've learned how to do it from watching them and doing the polar opposite.
So you learned what not to do.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is there anything else coming up? I know we've got some big things, in the industry. I wanted to get the magazine's opinion, your opinion on Amendment 64 and the other initiatives that are going on.
Well, we fully support Amendment 64, actually. I think the design and the thought that went into writing that bill was pretty impressive. I think for one of the things I love about it is that they did, of course, put hemp in there as well for allowing full-fledged production. I think there's been a lot of misinformation spread about Amendment 64 for a lot of people out there, and I think that's something that we want to, as a hemp connoisseur, to educate people on. We do speak about it in this issue, but our next issue, which is coming in October, where the announcements will be made as well, is what we're calling our political issue, where we want to feature all the different political figures in our state and their opinions and their takes on it, so people know what they're voting for when they vote for different representatives. And also we want to compare and contrast all of the different legislation that's going in to legalize cannabis, because there's also I believe it's 70 that's talking about regulating it like tobacco. And then there's, of course, Amendment 64, which is regulating cannabis like alcohol and allowing production of hemp. We absolutely endorse Amendment 64. We've looked at Amendment 70, and I appreciate the gumption behind it. But it kind of, to me, from what I've seen, it talks about changing the entire landscape of how things are done.
It's a big bite out of the apple.
It is.
I personally, from my perspective, I'm going to support most anything unless it's just horrible.
Exactly.
I support both. The thing with 64 is unfortunately, cannabis has the approval of the majority, but at the same time, it's still not mainstream. People are still not willing to stand on a street corner and say, I use cannabis. Let's just face the facts. They may check a box online that says, yes, I use cannabis, but it's a whole different world there. That being said, I think we have to, just as we are with medical, we have to start with stepping stones.
I agree.
And 64, there are things that I can sit here and pick it apart about. Like how do I grow 6 plants and only get an ounce? That's an equation for me that, the limit, the 1 ounce limit, 6 plants. And maybe there's some clarification on my part that needs to be done with that.
Right. My understanding of the ounce is that that's what you can carry with you.
And that's we talked about that, and that's kind of what I thought, but the wording had me a little confused as to whether that was what I could have.
A lot of legislative wording can be confusing.
It can. You can read bills all day long for years, and it will still confuse you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think it's exciting. We have the support in Colorado. I would say you'd probably agree with that.
I would. I remember. I saw a presentation from Marijuana Policy Project when I was in San Francisco talking about Colorado.
Great organization.
And when this was as of beginning of April, they were talking about the fact that we were looking at 51% in favor and 10% undecided. So, of course, they're going after that 10% to kind of shore up the numbers for us.
Sure.
But I've heard even since then, the numbers have been increasing. And I think what it comes with is education. I think we're at a point in Colorado where it's hard to find somebody in Colorado that does not know somebody else who has their red card. And obviously from
so true.
It is. And the more you learn about it, and when you realize, wow, this is helping, my cousin who has, autism or MS or cerebral palsy, or again helping treatment for cancer, and then we also see younger kids with autism and what cannabis is doing for that. When you start seeing that effect, it becomes emotional, and it becomes one of those things where it's like, well, why is this not already allowed for everybody?
Sure.
Of course, we look at how many deaths there are from alcohol every year, and yet in the 10,000 year history or span of cannabis, there's no recorded deaths.
Yeah, it's just all around hypocritical. It goes against your civil rights.
Yeah.
We could go on and on. Well, we're definitely, David, we need to have you back on. We've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You guys may or may not. We're kind of chatting with you about helping us out a little bit, educating our show a little on some hemp.
Yeah,
so
we'd love
we'll
to.
see what happens there.
All right.
But yeah, we'll have you back on, and make sure everyone out there get your magazine one more time. 7-Elevens, dispensaries, doctors' offices.
Yeah, we're also in Tattered Cover Bookstore in Denver.
Cool place.
Yeah,
Dig
great
that place.
Great place.
Right on, guys. Well, stick around. We're going to be right back in just a minute here on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding, Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Dispensary in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
Always be kind to each other.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
My music. And we're back on Overgrow the Radio. We kicked David out, and we brought in someone prettier and smarter. No, I'm kidding. We're all pretty and smart here. How are you this evening, afternoon?
I'm doing great. It could be a little cooler, but I'm dealing with the heat.
Yeah. It's a holiday week here. So the good with the bad. Picnics, you got to be outside. You find a good shade tree. You hide. You smoke a bowl. You deal with it.
Excellent.
You jump in a lake. You do what you got to do. I'm peeling out of here in a day or two to go get my little one, so my summer will officially start.
Very nice.
So play dates. I'll be in Denver. Got
All
a
right.
kid.
I'm
Parks
ready.
are cool. I love parks.
You can come by and play with my chickens.
Chickens? Ooh, Sophia likes chickens.
Right on.
Yeah. I have a cousin who has all the exotic, funky chickens.
Cool. We have Ericanas.
Very good.
Yeah.
She would love that. So Christie Lunsford, I met you, 6 months ago.
Seems like, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm always impressed by the ladies in our industry, for lack of a better term, to put it bluntly. You guys are not to be trifled with. I'll be blunt again there. You wear many hats, as a lot of us do. I'm going to kind of let you jump in and give us your background.
Sure. I got involved in cannabis about 5 years ago as a grower and a caregiver. And when 1284 came to pass, we organized the different medical marijuana infused companies, so we all understood 1284, and for a brief time we had an infused product manufacturing alliance. Once everyone got their businesses up and running, I owned my own infused company, and we did topicals and tinctures made by a clinical herbalist, and I grew all the medicine, and that was wonderful. And then we were purchased by Dixie Elixir and Edible.
Nice.
Yes, and the products are still sold all over Colorado in 452 stores, I think, have Dixie products.
Well, and I'm not a stockbroker, but they recently came out with a line of products that are THC free but still contain CBDs.
That is correct.
And I would believe, at least in my uneducated mind, there we go, that this would be a good company to invest some money in right now.
It would be a good company to invest some money in right now. I am not a stockbroker, so but what I can tell you about what's happening at Dixie, which is incredibly exciting to us, is we have a marketing and licensing agreement now with Medical Marijuana Incorporated, and these products are made of medicinal hemp.
Sure.
We have dialed down the existing THC, our science team, and they are CBD-rich products that can be mailed across state lines.
That's awesome.
And we'll be doing a national launch in late July, and are working currently on international launches for the upcoming months. And I don't have specifics on timelines, so don't Facebook me about it yet.
Well, I think Stickman's going to have to get my penny jars out and put some money into this company because, it is exciting. Not just the money aspect. That sounds very greedy of me. It's exciting that you guys are getting products across state lines to people who don't have access to oil, don't have access to things because of THC.
Exactly.
I wish, on many levels, obviously the drug war is a failure, but I really wish facts like, the medicinal properties of CBDs were highlighted more on our federal level and talked about, facts like THC is counteracted, we hit on a minute ago, by CBDs. So, there's just so much mass confusion. It's just great that they have a product that's not prohibited by law, that can get out there. And I guess my point being, it can kind of familiarize, again, hemp and cannabis with the rest of the country, that it's not really there yet,
Exactly. Part of my mission, my new activism mission this year, is teaching people that hemp and cannabis and hops are all botanically related, and that botanically speaking, there's a misnomer with the name. Mm-hmm. Hemp is actually also called cannabis sativa. Mm-hmm. So when you're speaking with a legislator or telling your father that he needs to use this CBD-rich product line, mm-hmm. You need to tell them that it's hemp, and it's biologically different, yet a sister to the magical cannabis plant that we all understand and love.
Absolutely. I definitely need to pick some of that up. I've got a person in my life who's dealing with some issues, and I've been waiting for that to come out. So
Excellent.
I'm excited about it.
I have been getting letters and emails from all over the United States, and the parents who are calling in and telling me about their children and their ailments and how mm-hmm. cannabis really helps them, but they necessarily don't want to be high. They don't want to be altered. They don't want to have their children altered for some reason, obviously, young child.
Sure.
And how excited they are that these CBD-rich products are coming out. So there's 3 different things that we're launching with, and we've used the proofing, if you will, from Dixie. So it's the tincture, the script line, and then the salve that we're starting with. The scripts come in a tablet form, and they are 25 milligrams of CBD and other trace cannabinoids in mm-hmm. each capsule. They're great for sleep. It's a very soothing blend, and it is a pain relief formula.
Nice.
Yeah. I have had the opportunity to try them. I have some lower back pain due to gardening, and
you know, that's one of the evil side effects of cannabis, right?
absolutely bad fingernails and lower back pain. I can always tell who the grower is in the room. All I have to do is look around at everyone's hands. So yeah, but the capsules are amazing pain relief. I am a very light cannabis user. So I'm smaller, so I took one 25 milligram capsule. Someone taller or larger would need to take 2 capsules, most likely, to provide relief. And then I was able to get one of the salves released for us to take a look at, and it is the same premise as the Dixie Botanical salve, except instead of the THC oil that we use, it's the CBD oil.
Nice.
And this can be used topically for aches and pains. It can be shipped across state lines. It's just amazing.
And I've been a big, you know, I've talked to you off the air previously. I've always been a big fan of the salves. I've used it, you know, on my back. For me, it's more a nerve pain issue, I think. But you know, after a day of hiking or something, when I have that extra back pain, to get a nice massage with some medicated salve is amazing.
It's amazing relief.
You know, there's so many people suffering that are aiding their pain with pharmaceuticals and different things, and now that this is a possibility for them, I mean, that's huge, huge. So kudos on that. I know we've got other stuff we should probably chat about too. You keep busy with lots of things.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, continue.
No, that's okay.
No, I just I was gonna ask what else. I know you guys did a Mother's High Tea recently.
Yes, we did. I was a co-chair on that with Miss Susan Squibb, the cannabis maven.
Right.
And that was a fundraiser for the Women's Cannabusiness Network, which is a project of the National Cannabis Industry Association. And it was a lovely event. It was a non-medicated high tea, and we had not only many members of our inner circle that we know well, but we had patient advocates from California. Miss Joanna LaForce came to speak, and she owns the pharmacy there.
Nice.
Yeah, she was our keynote speaker, and Wanda James spoke as well.
Sure.
Got everyone up to speed on what they can do politically to keep the medical marijuana movement safe, and tell Obama that we're here.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So we're going to take a little break here real quick. We're going to kind of digress again and go back and talk about benefits of salves and topicals and tinctures and all of the above. So stay with us here on Overgrow the Radio. We'll be right back. Peace.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley Brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
And we're back on Overgrow the Radio. I was just knocking our music. We're going to get creative and switch it up at some point. We're boring here, though. You know, we're lame. So we're going to jump back in. Before you leave, we're going to talk again about the Mother's High Tea because you guys have more events coming up. I encourage anyone, any of these events that are benefiting great organizations such as yours need to be attended, need to be supported. So we will definitely make sure people know what's going on there.
That would be great.
I know we wanted to digress a little and chat about, from your perspective. I lived here 3-ish years. I've been a patient. I came from a flyover state where we don't have topicals, we don't have tincture, we don't have anything. You're lucky to get decent meds. So, from your perspective, coming into the industry, you kind of focused on these things and the benefits of them. So I'd like to, get your opinion on the importance of using concentrates.
Absolutely. I can speak to using concentrates and topicals and tinctures.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's
fine.
I should have clarified there. There's so many different
kinds of concentrates.
Right.
Yes. I grew up in Grand Junction with my grandmother, and she made everything we ate.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And she made some of the things that went on our skin as well. And growing up, I went to Estee Lauder. I worked for Estee Lauder Incorporated for a significant amount of time. So I've seen high-end mass market commercial products, and I've seen salves that were made with someone's own hands. And traditional medicine making and herbalism is something everyone who's interested in cannabis
or cannabis.
Cannabis, yes, should look into, because being able to, or finding that clinical herbalist or old school herbalist to make products for you, it's the best ever.
Absolutely.
There are so many different varieties of topicals. There are sprays, which most men like because your skin is thicker, you have more oil production. It's a product where it's an isopropyl alcohol extraction of the cannabis plant. You spray it on, and all of these topicals interact with your peripheral nervous system, and they block the chemical signal from your brain that's telling you that you have pain in that one spot. We've seen amazing interactions with topicals with everyone from a young snowboarder who messed up his ankle to a 91-year-old patient who remembers what it was like before cannabis prohibition.
Sure.
And wanted to use topicals for pain relief, even though he did not feel that smoking was appropriate for him. And that gentleman goes through one ounce jar of salve a month.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. We were talking during the break. I've always been a proponent of salves and concentrates in that nature. The science that's coming out around it, you guys, they test things. We test. Any reputable company in my mind tests their products, I should say. Just my opinion.
Absolutely.
But you guys do testing. I guess I'm curious. I'm kind of vague on this, but I'm wondering what the latest is, with research and testing with salves and concentrates in your field.
Absolutely. Let me start by saying that Dixie tests 3 times in cannabis or in the hemp products. We test the raw plant material to understand what it is that we're dealing with, and this is medicinal hemp.
Sure.
In the Dixie X brand versus the Dixie THC brand.
Sure.
And then we test the product midway through in the infusion process, and then we test the final product.
Nice.
Yeah. Research is indicating for topicals like salves in the Dixie X product range is that it's extremely effective pain relief, and the THC is less than 1.3 milligrams. Therefore, it can be shipped across state lines and is legal in any state in the United States.
Now, folks that work for, say, government or, corporate America that have to, take your analysis, is this good news for them?
It's excellent news for them.
It won't show up, huh?
I don't have enough testing to say definitively, but if you are not smoking any cannabis at all, not sitting in a room with your friends while they're smoking, and you're only using Dixie X CBD salve, the chances of you passing a drug test are extremely good.
Right.
So,
well, another thing, we've talked about this in the past, is with just salves in general, even medicated salves, and I'm not sure the science, but I'm going to guess they just don't penetrate far enough to really get into the blood.
That's correct. It works with the peripheral nervous system, not through a blood wall barrier.
Which I believe is in the epidural.
It is. It's in the top layer of the skin.
Very good.
And
science class coming
excellent,
back.
Excellent. The epidermis or epidural.
Epidermis. Epidural is a very painful shot I've had in my spine many times.
Very, very.
As any lady, well, not any lady, but some ladies who have been through childbirth can relate to.
Exactly. So, and interestingly enough, I'll switch topics very briefly. Cannabis has been known to be a very effective medicine for childbirth.
Sure. Well, and I like to throw in people's faces. I a few weeks ago sat through a trial with my co-host Elisa, and during which time I took every opportunity I got to educate DAs. They made some very rude comments. They could smell our meds, and we were a bunch of dirty hippies, and it was nice of them. Very professional. But anyway, one of the facts that I like to throw out that people don't talk about is a couple years ago, and there's multiple studies now that show that cannabis is in breast milk. So anyone who, police included, who were breastfed as children used cannabis.
Absolutely.
Whether you choose to admit it or not. You're a pothead.
We are biologically hardwired to use this plant and be friendly with this plant. So yes, I can imagine that you make a lot of friends telling people about the breast milk link.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so much new science. I recently had a conversation with Chris from Canalabs, off the record. And I'll get the details all funky because he's very smart and he makes me feel very small when he starts talking about science. But they were doing cross studies about the endocannabinoid system and, found it down to one cell little vertebrae in the ocean have an endocannabinoid system. A lot of them have since faded it out to where they don't have everything we have, but obviously, cannabis was meant for not only us, but most of the animal kingdom, quote unquote. So the more research and more stuff coming out is just amazing. What I want to do is have you back on soon, and we'll talk more about science, and it's ever changing. But before we run out of time with you, I do want to talk again about Mother's High Tea and any other fundraisers that are going down in July.
Absolutely. The really exciting part for us about the Mother's High Tea is we are planning a Women's Cannabis Network press day here in Colorado. And then the money from the fundraiser will be used to send someone in our group to Washington, D.C. for a national press day.
Nice.
And we'll be able to send, when you think about cannabis or marijuana, you don't think about mothers. You don't think about female business owners. It's a completely different stereotype. And what we're trying to do as business owners and people who make a living wage in medical cannabis in Colorado is educate Congress, from the very most important congressperson in Washington, D.C., right down to my mayor and I now have a dialogue about cannabis. But the Women's Cannabis Business Network will be there in D.C., and we'll have a press day there. And we're very, very excited about that.
Absolutely. That's very exciting. I pride myself. That's what I do, is I go after government and try to educate them. I mean, I have regular conversations with Pete Lee, and, he's obviously a supporter. Gary Jansen was on the show not long ago. Great rant about the drug war, or failure, I should say. So, yeah, keep up the good work. I'm sure I will see you soon at an event. I'll put on a dress, maybe come for some tea.
Maybe next year. Actually, one of our guests was in drag.
Oh,
so it was an exciting event, and not very many people, figured out who that was.
Yeah, and there's no event in our industry that's ever boring. So I encourage everyone, whether you like tea or not, support this event and get out there.
Absolutely.
Well, Christie, let's have you back on soon. We're going to cut out for like a 5-minute break, and then we'll be back here on iCannabis Radio. Peace.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley Brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
And we're back on Overgrow the Radio. I still have the company of my gracious friend Christie. She's going to keep us company for a little longer, and we have a special guest that's going to stop in for the end of the show we're going to talk to. We've got one guest on the phone and one more to call. Before that, we've got on the phone my friend, and are we competitors? We're not competitors. We're all in this for the same thing. Thurlow Weed, how are you today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, Stickman. Doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, man, absolutely. We're all, like I said, we all do this for a reason. I think it's not a competition at all. I think it's a cause, and we cross-promoting and highlighting good things that we're doing is what it's all about. Speaking of good things, man, you know, No Excuses Radio, you can plug that, but I want to also have you talk about what you're out doing right now, because you actually live here in Denver, with us, right? Sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. Well, I was there for a while, but here in the next few months, I'm definitely going to be out and about doing exactly what you were just talking about, Stickman. We're not competitors. I'm out here doing what I feel is going to help to bring the community, the cannabis community, together nationwide, really kind of, spread the word about what you're doing with your show, and then myself and a lot of other people, because there's some really good shows that are going on.
Yeah, agreed. And I like the name of your tour. What's the name?
It's actually the Weed Not Greed Tour.
I dig it.
And,
I'm sorry, continue.
Huh?
I said continue, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's what it's about. It's about being able, to pull the community together, but it's not about making money when you do it. There's a lot of people out there that are in business, obviously, to make money. I'm out here for education. That's what it is. It's about educating people. It's not about making the money, so to speak. I'm not doing it for the money. Granted, I want to do it to make sure my bills are paid, but
sure.
It's not the search of it. It's more of the education, because in the end, that's a lot more than money can pay for.
Absolutely, sir. And what's your schedule for July? I mean, I know you're out. You're doing remote broadcasts from different places, and not necessarily cannabis related. I think you've done them from markets and different things.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we just got done in June. We just got done on the 30th. We did the kick-ass summer blowout with Jen Levine's Firepower out there in Denver. And that event itself was not cannabis related. It was actually just artists and glass blowers and such like that from Colorado that were just doing different types of art. Like even the glass blowing,
nice.
It was nothing to do with cannabis. They weren't making pipes or anything like that. It's just strictly, it was glass art. So it was definitely nice to be able to get into something and be able to get into something that's not just cannabis related.
Sure. Well, that's what it's all about, dude. I admire that you can be out there on the road. I have a daughter who's about to be here for the summer, so that limits my travel capabilities for a bit. And, here at iCannabis, we're working on building things, so I'm kind of grounded, so I'm a little envious. Is there anything... Well, let's talk real quick. That was kind of a two-part question. Let's talk, what's upcoming in July? Where are you going to be? What's going on?
Okay, so we've got... Actually, of the next few months, July is the slowest. We are at Washington, D.C., obviously, the official radio station for the 43rd annual Smoke-In in Washington, D.C. So, I mean, that's great to be part of that. That's huge right there to be able to bring the community together. And then I'm going to kind of trickle off and go with the flow. There's Michigan coming up and Arizona, but those are going to be quick stops because come the end of July, we're going to be doing the 1st through the 5th of August in the sand dunes up in Portland, Oregon. We're going to be doing a live broadcast there covering their big dunes event. And then shortly after that is Seattle Hemp Fest. And I go everywhere between Seattle, Portland, Sacramento, Oakland, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Santa Fe, Denver, Omaha, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Trenton, New York City, Philadelphia, Dover, Harrisburg, and then we're going to end in D.C. In the middle of September with the Weed Not Greed Tour. And then I'm going to go back and catch the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in Detroit in October. And after that, I'm going to take a little vacation and edit all of the footage that has been put together from the tour. And in January 2013, there will be a documentary available.
Cool. Well, dude, definitely keep up the good work. If you're, still out east, we're going to be in D.C. Overgrow the Government with Moms for Marijuana, October 15th. We're doing kind of a dual event this fall. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And real quick, we got to get out of here, but shout out your website so folks can listen to your show.
Yeah, everybody, hey, don't forget, you can check out everything. I just did a merger. It is now WFCC, No Excuses Radio. You can check out everything at noexcusesentertainment.com or USA World Famous Cannabis Cafe.com. I want to thank you, Stickman. I want to thank iCannabis Radio, and I definitely want to thank Overgrow and everything that you're doing to get the word out, and I want you to keep up the good work as well.
Likewise, brother. We're all in this together. Let's have you back on again soon, and like I said, keep up the good work and stay safe. We'll talk to you soon. We'll be right back here on iCannabis Radio. And I want to thank our friend Thurlow. He's out there pounding the pavement while some of us are landlocked here in the lovely town of Denver or wherever we may dwell. I don't know about you, Christy, but I would love to be out running around, causing trouble across the country. I do to the extent I can, but, I
think you cause quite enough trouble right here in the studio.
Kind of do, don't
I?
Yeah. Just give me a mic and some listeners and we're good. So my next guest, actually, when I do run around and cause trouble, she helps me. She's been a board member of Overgrow since the inception, really. Rebecca Forbes, who also runs Carolina Cannabis Coalition and does a lot of work out in North Carolina with legislators and whatnot. She's on the show, and we're going to continue with her. I'm going to introduce you in just a second, but I want to mention that the reason I brought you on is the theme of the show today has sort of been the benefits of, oil and topicals and, the presentation of patient information and things. So, Rebecca, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing great. You have a story about oil, and I have always admired you because you live in a state that's not really cannabis friendly.
No, I live in one of the southern states, and if you look at the map that NORML puts out, there's not a single southern state that's actually legal yet. So those of us that live here in the South basically have to go against the law to heal ourselves if we make the choice to use the cannabis oil. So it's very difficult finding supply and finding a good quality of cannabis to make our medicines out of. So it really was a struggle for me, but a very successful struggle in any rate.
Sure.
The politicians here had asked me that question at one point when we were working on the last medical bill, how I obtain my cannabis, and I said, well, I buy it like anybody else does, and they were like, well, aren't you concerned that it's illegal? And at that point, no, I was not very concerned that it was illegal because I knew that it was something that I had to add to my health regimen to get rid of my tumor. So it is very difficult for those of us like me, even working on the issue in this state. You're very disrespected. There's not a lot of respect for medical marijuana here. We've tried to pass 2 bills now in North Carolina the most recent being H577, which died in committee in 2010. We're hoping to introduce another bill early 2013. So that's where we sit here in North Carolina right now. The laws are still very much against cannabis here.
Sure. And you mentioned briefly you treated your tumor with oil. That's the first story I heard, our first go-round in D.C. How did you find oil? And, tell us how that's treated. I know you've progressively gotten better each time I've seen you. How does that go? And how has the medicating with oil worked for you, I guess?
Okay, well, I'll just give you like a brief history of my story. I went to prison back in the 90s, late 90s, for growing marijuana, and back then I was just a recreational user. And for nearly 9 years, I went to prison for 3 years. And for 9 years, I didn't even smoke any cannabis once I came out of prison. And then I started getting very sick and went to a doctor and was diagnosed with lung disease and an adrenal mass on top of my kidney. Your adrenal gland sits right on top of your kidney, and it had a huge tumor on it. So I was basically told by doctors there wasn't too much they could do. There was a surgery that they could perform, but there were no guarantees that would not do some lasting damage, because that affects a woman's hormones and different things and organ function. Your adrenal does.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to think about it for a while, and I was given OxyContin painkillers for the pain. And so for about 5 months, I took the OxyContin, and I started becoming really lethargic, got to where I couldn't take care of my kids. And one of my family members came down, my dad, and mind you, I had not used any cannabis in any form for almost 9 years. And my dad was like, Becky, you need to throw those pills in the trash and smoke you a joint. And I looked at him like he was crazy. But then I finally broke down and I said, well, let me try it. So I smoked a joint with my dad. And over a period of time, about 5 or 6 weeks, I completely stopped taking the narcotic painkillers. So that was my first medical experience, finding out the medical benefits of cannabis. Well, in that process, I had reconnected with a friend of mine from out in the mountains, Jean Marlowe, who is a huge advocate here in North Carolina and has as well worked on our legislation here for many years. And she gave me the Rick Simpson Run from the Cure movie. And so one night I was sitting here and I said, well, let me watch this thing. So I sat down and watched the movie. And when I was done watching that movie, I had a whole different outlook on cannabis. From watching the testimonies of people that had used it for their cancer, and decided that maybe that was something I should try for my tumor. So that's where it began. And at that point, I had a donor from here in North Carolina give me a jar of oil, and that's what started my oil process. So I've been taking the cannabis extract in many different forms now for a little over 2 years. And my health has improved greatly. I've had an internalist that has followed my progress. And because of me, he is actually convinced now that cannabis does have superior medical value, where he wasn't when I first went to him.
Isn't that refreshing when you can educate people in the medical field of any level, really? Nurses, doctors, down to, the orderlies.
Yeah, and what was very unique about my doctor is at the time he was actually running for NC House. He didn't win the seat, but he was running in the election, and over time, as he saw me getting better, it really changed his mind about cannabis, and he's actually done a lot more research into it now. And I think that's a place to start with people is if you make this choice, be sure to inform your physician that that's what you're doing, whether they like it or not, because he really didn't like it when I told him this is what I'm going to try first. And then if the cannabis oil doesn't work to improve my health, and help me with this tumor, then we'll opt with the surgery or chemo or whatever is next. But thank God, the cannabis oil worked. It took about 8 months for it to actually kill the tumor. And then it took me about another 6 months to actually stop feeling any pain at all or any symptoms. So it was about a 1.5 year long process, but it was well worth it. And I'm very thankful for people like Rick Simpson that were brave enough to make these documentaries and movies to educate people, because I think that's how we're going to get this done, is by educating the people. And the more and more people that are trying it and finding relief, the more advocates that we have. I've noticed that Canada is now allowing the extracts, which is awesome. But it should be available to anybody that chooses to use it.
Absolutely, ma'am. Well, we had a short, brief amount of time here to talk to you. I like to once in a while get patients and highlight our stories. I recently, a couple months ago, became a patient out here of the Realm, as you and I have talked about. I think I was their first pain patient. And just with the pain that I live with, oil's amazing. It's amazing, all of the different treatments and what it does to cure so many different ailments, cancer, MS, the list goes on and on. So I'm glad that you're getting better. You're pretty much family of mine. You go out and raise hell with me in D.C., and we have a good time. So October 15th, we'll be there.
In July. I'll be up there in July for the smoking in D.C.
We actually talked about that a little while ago, absolutely, with the previous guest. And then we'll be back in October with Moms for Marijuana this year, October 15th. I believe they've got a quilt that they made for President Obama or Congressman.
Oh, awesome.
We're going to cut away to commercial, but I'd like to have you back on when we have more time to chat about Overgrow and political stuff, and you can keep us updated on East Coast happenings from time to time. So I'm glad you're doing well, ma'am.
There's a few good things happening. Connecticut is finally making some progress, and so we just got to get the southern states on board.
Absolutely. Well, Rebecca, keep up the good work, because it is, like you said a couple times, the South is the South, and you guys have an uphill battle. We're right there with you. Anything we can do, give us a shout. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome.
And enjoy your evening. I'll let you go eat dinner now.
Okay, awesome.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
We're going to take just another break here at Overgrow the Radio, so stick around, because when we come back, we're going to talk to the First Lady of Hashish, Mila Jansen, who joins us all the way from Amsterdam. I'm going to have to go visit her soon, I think. All right, we'll be right back on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
Freedom means to me to be able to go where you want to go, do what you want to do, and think what you want to think. And you can't just do it completely on your own in this life. But you can make space for yourself. And you can create a situation where there is space for yourself. I was very lucky, I think. As far as I understand, talking with the doctor, I have the choice between a brain hemorrhage and a heart attack. So I think the heart attack is the better choice. And if it's supposed to happen up in Chandratal, I can't imagine a more beautiful place. There's certain things you can discuss, and others you'd better don't. What if they won't let you go? Anyway, it's my life. I've stood at several points with my arms as wide as I could reach. I was as insignificant as a speck of sand, and the whole of nature was out there, totally untouched by man.
What a great quote from our next guest. We were just talking during the break how envious I am of your travels in the Himalayas. Welcome, Mila, and your friend Shelly. How are you guys, ladies? Oh, we got to move you up just a little bit there. I'll have my producer adjust you.
Okay.
Very good. There we are. So, Mila, you're in visiting from Amsterdam.
Yeah, just arrived. It's my first time ever in Denver, so...
Nice. What do you think?
It's great. It's beautiful. Yeah, we just went up and saw some mountains this morning.
Very good.
Yeah.
We've got one or two.
Yeah. Well, we got as far as the Red Rocks, and that was already quite imposing.
Nice. Well, if you're here for a few days, I highly recommend the Peak to Peak Highway, which runs out of Boulder and goes up to Estes Park. It's amazing. Nice little places to walk off into the woods and get lost forever. It looks like you're a lot like me and you like to do that. So.
Yeah, I was thinking, that sounds like my kind of place.
Yeah. So our whole show, we were also talking, you kind of popped in, which is awesome because you fit so well into our show. We've been talking tonight about the benefits of, concentrates. We focused on salves and tinctures. For me personally, and I mentioned this with Christie, when I medicate, I use hash because for me, I have a lot of pain with my back, and I need that extra little boost, that extra little kick. And really, I guess hash is the first concentrate if you look back. What's more appropriate than to have the First Lady of Hashish sitting here?
I think it's more of the first separation. It's a separation between the plant material and the active ingredient material.
Sure.
And I always feel that I don't fully understand that so many patients are smoking weed, because for me you're smoking 95% dead plant matter, and it's only 5% that's going to give you anything, so why not separate them, and then you can just smoke hash, which is totally my drug of choice.
I'm with you on that. I don't know if you've I'm getting on this kick lately with the waxes, if you're familiar with the waxes that are coming out, and I'm kind of an idiot, so I won't go into the different types. But I do want to digress a little bit. I'm kind of catching up on your story, and I want you to kind of give a history to our listeners. How long have you been pushing hash?
I started smoking hash in '64, so
nice.
That's quite a while back. And at that time there was only hash available, and then I moved to India. I lived there for 14 years, raised my children there, mostly, and returned in 88, 89 to suddenly find my city, Amsterdam, full of coffee shops that were all selling weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually because of what we'd seen and learned in Asia. Got us started to making our own separation, so we could smoke hash instead.
Now, I have to just jump in and ask real quick if your treks to the Himalayas are because of, do they tie in with your love and your history with hash? I mean, a lot of, that region, and maybe not right there in particular, but that region is known for a lot of very old strains of cannabis, and they're historic, really.
Yeah, we lived in Manali and Milana and been up in Nepal and Kashmir. But when you get really up to the region where I prefer to hike best, there's nothing growing up there.
Yeah,
you're above the tree line, and not even too cold. It can be so hot during the day and so freezing at night. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're up like, I don't know in feet exactly, but 4,500 meters. Yeah.
Yeah, my conversion chart's not in front of me, so.
No.
I'm a stupid American, forgive me. So, you know, you started from the get-go, you know, back in the 60s, it was obviously a different time. Your knowledge far surpasses mine on many levels, obviously. Were you instantly an advocate for the benefits of hash? Did you start as a recreational user of hash?
When my first business in Amsterdam was in '66, and we had a boutique, and that was really a roaring time.
Sure.
For the ladies among you, it was great. If I had a party that night, I could just pick the cloth and decide what I wanted, and in that evening I'd be the queen of the show. That was really a fun time. But then later we decided to change it into a tea house, which could be maybe called the first coffee shop, although we never ever sold anything. But that was definitely a place where hash traded, changed hands, and quite a bit, and people coming from the east, from Turkey, Afghanistan, India, they would be bringing something. And then actually in those days in Amsterdam, you'd bump into these American dropouts coming from the other direction, usually bringing more things like that were more hallucinatory.
Like my parents?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
No, probably not. But yeah, I mean, and I guess I get your perspective on a couple of things with the law there. People have a misconception that it's legal in Amsterdam to possess and grow and consume cannabis. It's actually not, huh?
It's permitted.
Right.
It's permitted. It's not legal. And at the moment, just because we have such a government, they've now decided to start closing the coffee shops for foreigners.
That was my next question, actually, what your feelings on that? I know from a business side of things here in Colorado, what it's done for our economy, you know, just with the medical side of it. And Amsterdam, since I can remember, has been a destination of tourists who just want to go enjoy some cannabis without going to prison.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think that impact is going to be on really the country as a whole, not just Amsterdam?
I think Holland hasn't properly thought through what they are doing, because the whole reason for separating, as we call soft drugs, from hard drugs is that there is no contact to hard drugs, really. And it's so easily available to get the soft drugs that it's only a very small minority that even goes out and looks for other things.
Sure.
And now that they're going to, closing the coffee shops for foreigners is one thing, but I think a lot of Dutch people will not want to go to the coffee shops then anymore, because you have to be registered, and of course people are afraid of losing their jobs and things. And so I think the street dealership will really return. And that was why they started the coffee shops, to get rid of these street dealers. Because as a street dealer, it's far easier to carry heavier stuff in your inside pocket that doesn't stink like a big bag of weed.
Sure.
So
I think that's the only, not to cut in, I think that's the only legitimate argument that they have about the whole gateway theory, you know, is that, yes, there are times where when you go to buy cannabis on the street, that guy is more likely, anyway, to have cocaine or heroin or whatever the case may be than
and he would like you as a regular customer.
Absolutely, sure, yeah, it's money. And the thing of it is, you know, we'll never, and it's a whole separate issue, we'll never get rid of that. You know, people want drugs. Obviously, we have more drugs and more users than ever before. My opinion is, and Holland takes this approach, is, and we did until the 30s, until we got whatever we got. You know, you guys are lenient on most everything, and it's very much a health issue there as opposed to a criminal issue, which is the case in a lot of Europe, and it's growing, you know.
Yeah.
That's, again, in your opinion, I mean, you see our system. In my mind, we have to switch to a system like what is in place in Holland or Spain or Portugal.
Well, we're just getting rid of our system.
Right.
Like
well, and that's my question is, you know, are you guys trying to stop that from happening? I mean, I know you see the wrong in it, but how do you reverse that as a country?
Well, I must admit that they had a protest demonstration and about 100 people showed. There was more press than protesters.
Sure.
I think people are very lazy because, well, the coffee shop on the corner is still open, so I'm not worried. I can't think ahead.
We have that problem here in America. I will call our country out. We are very complacent. I like to use the term sheeple. And sheeple scare me because they are killing us. If things don't change, we're on a very downward spiral, which I think is no secret to any of us sitting here. I encourage you, of course, and Amsterdam in general to fight back against that, because that is huge. I know. Let's go back to.
Okay, there's friends of mine who are trying to bring it to a court case, and then immediately take it to the European Union in Belgium, because it's highly discriminatory that you can sell to that person, but his passport's different, so you can't. So we hope on that level, at least, that we can stop it.
Well, and the financial impact to the country will be huge. It's a beautiful country. I've not been, but I've seen a lot of pictures. But let's face it, a big draw is to be able to come and enjoy cannabis. And, if our industry here in Colorado were to go away tomorrow, we would be in the same boat as a lot of the states where they don't have medical cannabis. We would be struggling to get by. We're having our own issues with our industry. So absolutely. I want to jump back in real quick before we get short on time. You have a couple of things that you've kind of invented, if you will, that I want you to talk about.
That was then coming back to Amsterdam and not finding any good hash around. We used to just shake it in cold rooms over a screen. And then one day, as a lady, I was standing in front of my dryer and realized what those clothes were doing in there was exactly what I was doing here, and that was it. Next morning went over and we got one made, and it worked. And it's amazing. It still works. We still sell them worldwide, also here to America. And
awesome.
Yeah. And since then I've come up with another way, because with a pollinator it's really a dry sift system. So for many people that is a big advantage, because you get the full flavor and the full aromas. Later I came up with bags and the washing machine idea, the isolator and the bubbleator, and that's just plain strong.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have the fragrances and everything. Secretly, I can admit that I prefer the plain strong one. But I know for many people it's really a matter of the taste and flavor that together makes the...
I thought we lost us.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and you're definitely preaching to a good audience here in Colorado, because we have a lot of growers and a lot of hashes being made. So they can find that. I'm guessing they can order it at www.pollinator.nl. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And the email is just info@pollinator.nl, and pollinators with 2 L's.
Nice, nice. Well, I'm going to come visit you, if it's okay, in Amsterdam.
Definitely,
and,
definitely.
I'm going to try some hash. And sounds like I can stay in the Hemp Hotel.
Yes.
Maybe I can get a corporate discount on that.
Well, you have to book in advance. We only have 5 rooms, so...
even better. That's my kind of place. You know, we were talking, I'm a backpacker. I love little inns and bed and breakfast. So if folks want to stay with you when they come to Amsterdam, how do they get in touch with you for that?
That's the Hemp Hotel, www.hemphotel.com. And I think I used my first name, Mila, at Hemp Hotel.
Very good.
To get a reservation.
Well, you need to come back and visit us in Colorado and come back on the show. And Shelly, we're going to talk to her after the show about maybe talking to her on a show. She's got an exciting project going on. And
she definitely does.
Absolutely. As a patient, I appreciate any research being done, so I'm excited to chat with you a little bit. So we're going to cut out of here for the day, but definitely come back. Thank you for popping in and honoring us by coming on the show.
I'd really like to wish you all well with the Amendment 64 to regulate the cannabis. I guess I hear that's all coming up, and that's exciting. You'd be the first one. Holland never got that far.
Yes, ma'am. We will make history in November here in Colorado. We definitely have the support. Thank you for the endorsement.
Okay.
Well, we're going to cut out, but before we do, I got to mention our sponsors, SoCo MMJ, The Realm of Caring, and Dispensary. Oh gosh, who am I forgetting? Green Monster Glass, and I think that's all for now. Probably a few more, but they'll love me anyway. So we'll be in here next week doing the same thing, and we want everyone to come back and listen. Until next week, be safe. We love you. Peace.